Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Ted Wiesen to give our thoughts on the latest Kirby Star Allies footage from the recent Nintendo Direct Mini. So let's get started. Alright Ted, so we finally got some new info on Star Allies, and I know you're a huge Kirby fan just like me. Only makes sense to get you back in here, especially now that I finished up my analysis, and yeah, just right off the bat, what'd you think as you were watching the Direct Mini and saw that new footage of Star Allies?
Honestly, it just looks really, really good. It's weird. There's simultaneously a lot to say and not a lot to say, because on one hand, yes, the game looks fantastic, but it also always looked fantastic, so the new details are kind of more like sprinkles on top, rather than a whole lot of... the one thing that I'm really excited about and happy for, I should say, is the release date. March 16th is actually earlier than I thought we were going to get this game. I thought we were going to go for more of an April or May sort of thing, because that, if I remember correctly, is when Robobot and Triple Deluxe came out, was closer to the April and May kind of area. So March is earlier than I thought, and I'm really happy about that because I can't wait to get my hands on this. And yeah, first off, the game already looked great on the E3 footage and other places we've seen it, but there's been added little graphical flourishes here and there, and a lot of stuff like the lighting in particular when they're in like the dark areas or the castle with the sunset, and you can see like the light reflecting off of Sir Kibble in really cool, interesting ways, and this game just looks gorgeous. We've never had a real HD Kirby game. The closest is Rainbow Curse, which is beautiful, but not really kind of... It's its own unique art style, so it is so nice to see a Kirby game with this much graphical oomph put into it, and I'm just really, really excited.
Which is funny to talk about considering he's a pink puffball, so...
Yeah, but he's got galaxy. It's like, okay, how do you add more detail to Kirby? We put galaxies in his eyes, and it's just perfect. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing. It looks so good, and I pretty much agree with you. Like, they really are just sort of adding to something that I've already wanted. I really can't wait to play more of this, and yeah, we're probably going to get more details. I see about one more coming because this is definitely following the same outline that Return to Dreamland, Triple Deluxe, Planet Robobot already had. In the analysis, I spotted, oh, here's a giant puzzle piece. That's likely our code cubes. And here's a smaller puzzle piece. There's our keychains. All right, so what are the little extra side modes we're going to get to help flesh out the game? Like, okay, is it finally Bandana D's turn to go through this entire thing?
I hope so.
It might not be, considering that...
There's no sphere, yeah.
Exactly.
There's... What, you said 27 powers total? That's on the high end for a Kirby game. I'm struggling to think of any Kirby game that's had more, other than, like, if you can count even 64's combination powers. But still, that's a huge list. So if we're not having a Bandana D mode, I don't see them dropping the second mode, though. So... Like, I mean, I guess they could do Meta Knight again, but that's not as interesting.
Give me Buff DDD. I want to run around as Buff DDD's pounding enemies.
That would be great. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so I mean, I'm sure we'll also get some smaller mini games as well. But again, I don't expect to see most of those until like probably late February, if at all. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't see them doing a full Kirby Star Allies Direct, because I don't think it's needed. I think everybody knows what they're getting in for here, and that's not a bad thing in this case, you know?
No, not at all.
It's amazing, though, that the formula that they've been going for here has been basically standardized, and it's not something that people seem to be tired of yet, because even though we're going to have 4 games with essentially the same style, they all feel distinct enough that okay, I'm not sick of it yet. Like, maybe 3 games from now, we might be. Who knows? But for now, at the very least, this is still looking pretty awesome.
Well, they found a way to make each one interesting and distinct. Like, you can see the framework there, but Return to Dreamland had you playing as the 4 distinctive characters. Triple Deluxe had the Super Suck ability, or I forget the exact one.
Hypernova.
Hypernova, thank you. Robobot, of course, had the Robobots, which was awesome. And now with Star Allies, we have all the combination abilities, and there's so freaking many. Not just between different powers, but also combining everybody into those like friends trains and friends stars or whatever. It's so crazy how many combinations there are, and it's like, what will we see as we mix every power with every other power? That's I'm like, oh crap, I have to make a video of that. I gotta like do a graph. I'm gonna have to create a graph in order to keep track of all the combinations and showing them all off and how they combine. It's gonna be nuts.
Microsoft Excel explain.
Pretty much. Just like, okay, we showed this one, let's do that. This is what this one does, and because I'm interested. I want to see how each of these powers combine. And so far, we've only had one that follows the same sort of formula as Kirby 64, which was the curling stone.
Yeah. So I doubt we'll be seeing too many more 64 inspired or callbacks, unfortunately. Like, the entire idea is based off of Kirby 64, but in terms of specific references, I honestly don't expect to see many more other than the curling stone. I'm sure we'll get one or two more, but it's a very different kind of idea. This is much more in the line of Squeak Squad, but we did it right this time, is basically what I'm thinking. Because, like, for example, the Icicle Lance that they showed off, or the Friend Throw, and things like that, those are so much cooler than, oh, I've got Ice Bombs now, that, yay, you know? And even then, with something, okay, like the Wind Bombs, you can use them to float like a balloon, and that's much more than we ever really got in Squeak Squad. So there's much more interesting things going on here, even with the tamer ones, like, oh, Fire Sword or whatever, you know?
Yeah, because they still found a way to make those look cool and interesting. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the Plasma ability, but seeing it combine with Yo-Yo, seeing that electric strike at the end of that one move, I'm like, holy crap, that looks awesome. Like, you could just feel the power.
Yeah, Plasma, I have a feeling, is basically just going to be Spark, but just called Plasma this time, because Spark has been taking several Plasma elements for the last handful of games, like the being able to jitter yourself around and generate static and things like that. Mm-hmm. So the thing that I'm most interested about is the super ability-like sections with the 4 friends. Mm-hmm. We don't really have a term for them in general yet, or at least I don't remember there being.
I don't think we've gotten one yet, no.
I'm wondering how common those are going to be, because in Triple Deluxe and Robobot and in Return to Dreamland, you got a big section like that roughly every 2 levels, you know? Like, okay, one level's mostly normal, the next level, okay, you've got a Hypernova or super ability section. But the thing is that when you were looking at them on the trailer, they didn't seem like they were as, okay, we're going to stop whatever you're doing right now, and you're going to play this little section with Hypernova or super abilities, and you're going to like it. It didn't seem as much to me. It seemed like they were shorter, or sometimes I think maybe even completely optional, because if you're looking at the friend train, you could very easily go through that section without it, or the part where you're riding on the Warp Star. It doesn't really seem like you need that in order to get through that section. So I'm wondering, like, if you don't have 4 buddies with you at that point, be it CPU or multiplayer, are you just not going to be able to do it and you'll have to go through normally?
That might be the case.
I would prefer it that way because, you know, as fun as the Hypernova or super ability or Robobot stuff is, sometimes you just want to play as normal Kirby, and having to stop and be like, oh man, super ability, go, is not always the most fun thing. So if you can just skip them, it's like, I don't want to ride the train, I want to explore at my own pace, then I think it would be cool to have the option to do that, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be optional or not. I'm actually kind of curious how it plays in multiplayer. Does everybody get to jump sort of like with Plessy in 3D World, or is only player 1 in control, and how do they make that fun for the other players?
I'm watching the trailer right now. Like, for the friend train, it just kind of looks like you go in a straight line. So I don't know if everybody could control that. And for the star, like, I guess they could have everybody shoot projectiles, I suppose. That could be something. But they kind of imply that there's going to be a lot of these things. We don't know how many. So each one would probably have to have a separate control scheme for multiplayer and a single player.
That could be.
Another question I wanted to ask you is, do you think it'll be better or worse for multiplayer when you have to use enemy buddies that you find on the stage, as opposed to just being able to drop in with a Kirby or DDD, Meta Knight, or Waddle Dee at any point like it was in Return to Dreamland?
I think it'll be better. Because it's just so much more dynamic. I think that was one of the weaknesses. I've not played Return to Dreamland, but just looking at it, like, okay, cool, Kirby gets to have all these different unique powers and does all this different stuff. I'm Meta Knight and I get to swing my sword, but with Kirby, the variety is a big part of that. Yeah. And there's a reason that DDD's mode and Meta Knight's mode are shorter. You can beat them within 2 hours or so. Less than that,
Less
really.
usually. There's the speed run mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they know that it's like you're stuck with that one power. It's not as interesting. So it makes sense to give everybody the opportunity to play whatever they want. As common as we've seen these enemies, I don't think it'll be too hard to find another power for them to be as, you know?
Okay, that makes sense. I do agree. I think that it would be really, really cool. As somebody who never really played Superstar an awful lot, I never really ever tried multiplayer with that game, so I don't know if people were actually like excited that they could be a different enemy at any point, or they were like, oh man, I'm Sir Kibble, man, I wish I was Kirby, you know, or something like that. Like, I didn't know what people generally thought of that, so I was just wondering your opinion.
I mean, I never played it multiplayer, but I always thought it was kind of cool. Like, it gave personality to those enemy characters. All of a sudden, Poppy Brothers Jr., he's cute.
That was the first one where you really learned their names, too, if I remember correctly. Unless you had, like, the manual or something.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, so that doesn't bother me at all, and I like the added attention that each of them gets a hat now based on their power. That's a cool little addition. And we got new abilities, brand new ones, which is always exciting to see what they'll come up with next. We have Spider and Artist, and I love them. I love them already.
Yeah, they both. You see, it's kind of one of those things where Artist looks cooler to me, like aesthetically. I like that design more, but the one that I want to play the most is Spider, actually, because Spider seems to look like Ice, but more fun in a lot of ways. Because when you wrap enemies up in that web, you can kick them kind of like the ice blocks, but it doesn't feel like your attacks stop you as much in place like Ice does, because with the ice power, most of the time it's just like if you want to attack something, you have to stop and then get back going again. Spider seems to be more fluid, and that just seems like a lot of fun. Artist, I'm more excited about, like, the different cameos and stuff that they're going to put in there, like what things is Kirby going to draw when he pulls up the canvas. And I really love how the DDD drawing was based off of the sprites from the original Kirby's Dream Land, down to the animation of the hammer swinging and whatnot. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, it's just one of those, like, you looked at, I was like, oh, it's like Circus. You have all these different cameos made out of this various medium, but it's still cool because you can use the paintbrush as kind of a sword, with the way you have slashes and whatnot. So it
seems to have a wider range, but is slower generally, from what I could tell.
Yeah, and I like that. And I really like how Spider just seems to be this trap ability. Like, yeah. I was kind of blown away during the analysis, and I saw the other Nruff run into the web after Kirby had already put it out there, and immediately got wrapped up. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, it's like you can just put it out there, enemies can get caught up in it, and just kick them all away.
You liked Poison a lot, too, so I think it makes sense that you would like those kind of trap abilities, from what I can tell.
It gives you a different sense than the other standard abilities where you're just running through and taking out everybody.
That makes sense. I'm excited for both of them. I don't think they're going to announce any other new abilities here. Like, I think we've basically seen all of them now, because again, you said 27, was it?
Yeah, we might get up to 30, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I think that we'd be pushing it, asking for any more new abilities, I think. Which is fine. I think we've got more than enough. I was just happy to see Beetle back, honestly, because Beetle was like the best new ability in Triple Deluxe, and they took it out of Robobot, and I was sad.
Yeah, Beetle's back, Cleaning is back, and it has a lot more utility after Dreamland 3. Suplex is back, which I know is a big favorite of a lot of people who played Superstar.
Yeah, that was, you see, they have a similar ability in Adventure / Nightmare in Dreamland called Throw. So that was what I was thinking of first, with the blue headband and whatnot. But that is a fun ability. It's much more dynamic in Superstar than it is in Adventure, obviously.
Yeah, which is how it tends to go.
Yeah. Although Bugsy, it's weird because Bugsy was the boss fight that gave you that ability in both of those games. But Bugsy got shrunken down when he's a buddy in the footage, but Bonkers is still huge for some reason.
Yeah, Bonkers has always just been massive, and I don't know why that is, but okay, sure. We got a
whatever.
Big character. Well, speaking of big, we actually got to see 2 more bosses. So we've seen 4 of the bosses at this point, and if we follow along how Kirby typically goes, usually 6 worlds,
So 1 more and then the final boss. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
But the Meta Knight fight looks cool. Like, the splitting up into 4 copies, like, I'm sure that it'll be a more standard Meta Knight fight for the first phase. But the other character, do you think that they're going to try to do a Susie kind of thing where she ends up not being evil after all or whatever with her? Because that was the first thing I thought is like, oh, here's this game's Susie.
Yeah, the design is very reminiscent. Hard to say, though. We'd have to see what the idea is. And like, if we go with my theory that their hearts have dried up or something like that, and they're using this stone heart in order to capture other hearts in order to revive their world, maybe I can see her going along more with the plans, but then realizing the error of her ways thanks to Kirby beating her up. As that's how it typically goes. It's hard to say. Like, probably...
If they do it, I would just want it to be a little bit more natural feeling than Susie. Because it's just like, aha, I was working as a spy the whole time. And I was like, okay, that came out of nowhere, but sure. Whatever, Susie. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Looking at that one world, that dried up world, it's like, oh yeah, we're getting our typical Kirby nightmare fuel.
Oh, dude, that guy in the cloak, I am totally expecting the cloak to come off and being some sort of monstrous...
Oh, let's get Lovecraftian in this.
Yeah. Although I did, out of interest, because I saw that it was rated E10, so, this isn't your father's Kirby game. Here, the ESRB does not say blood, so we're not going to get any bloody angels this time.
Although, when you say that, but if I remember correctly, Zero was the final boss of Dreamland 3. Zero 2 was the boss of 64. Could we be getting a 0-3 considering this is pulling from both those games and Superstar?
Dude, like, that's what 10-year-old me has been asking for years.
I mean, it would be awesome if we actually got a 0-3.
That would be pretty cool.
You've seen the final boss of Robobot, and I thought that was an awesome callback, so...
You know what? I actually, since I don't play Superstar that much, it wasn't until after I beat the game when I was like, oh wait, that's Nova. So yeah, I didn't pick up that one right away. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I just hope that if they do something with it, they at least try to bring it back into lore instead of, like, again, one of the disappointments with Star Dream being Nova was just like, okay, it looks like Nova, but they're not going to mention that at all in any of the dialogue or pause screen. Are you ready for depressing pause screen bosses again? That's gonna be so great.
It'll be like Mega Evolution and DDD. Like, DDD's gotten buffed up, but it's really destroying his muscles on the inside, and he'll go have muscular dystrophy for days after Kirby defeats him.
Never skip leg day, kids.
Yeah, I mean, we got three typical ones, so I'd imagine our other boss that we'll be facing off against is likely going to be brand new. I don't see them...
Or they could bring back Krakow again.
Yeah, or they could bring back Krakow. I mean, that's entirely
Which
possible.
always happens, to be fair. Like, if they're not gonna... that's honestly what I'm thinking. If they don't bring back Krakow, it's gonna be brand new. Aside from Wispy Woods, he's the classic Kirby boss, so he's the one I'm expecting the most. But I think I would prefer something new, but that's just me personally.
Yeah, I mean, they always find good ways to mix them up and make them different. Like, let's be honest, we've never fought DDD quite this way.
No.
I think that's what it comes down to. Like, the funny thing is, if you look on how much they've shown of Star Allies since it was first revealed, we've maybe gotten 5-7 minutes of footage at most.
Yeah.
And I'm hyped as hell for this game.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. It helps that it's coming so close is the thing. Like, it is. We don't have to wait too long. I'm really, really glad that this is gonna be a March as opposed to an April or May thing, because now we don't have to wait too long, and we all know this game's gonna be great, so there's no point in delaying it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Kirby is just one of the most consistent franchises out there. That might be a good or bad thing, depending on your point of view, but it's always had this great level of quality, and I'm just ready for even more of it. And it's great to have a console Kirby where I don't have to look at the gamepad the entire time.
That's good. Like, I mean, yeah, I think, if we got another 2D Kirby on Switch after this, I think maybe some eyebrows will start to be raised, because people really want that 3D Kirby game, for sure. But for now, Star Allies looks great, and I'll start thinking about what should happen with Kirby after Star Allies once Star Allies comes out.
I mean, the map is 3D at least. You can
run all around. Yeah! Well, you know what? We'll just get Kirby's Blowout Blast Deluxe. instead. If that's okay.
Go.
That's the game everyone wants.
Well, we already got it. Yeah, let's just make it super deluxe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to really mention from this new footage, but
I've got nothing.
I mean, we got more stages, but we got a lava stage, we got a snow stage, and we got the barren stage. I mean, we're dealing with known quantities here.
Yeah, a lot of them, like, I guess the lava stage is very reminiscent of the one from Triple Deluxe, but I mean, then again, that one looked a lot like the lava stage from Return to Dreamland 2.
That does make me wonder, though. We might have more worlds than usual, because like I said, it's usually 6, but we have Wispy Woods in the grass area. We have DDD in his castle, which who knows where that's going to be put around. Meta Knight looked to be in a canyon, and Francisca was in that dead world. So where's our boss for the ice and lava areas?
Oh, that's interesting. They could split them up in half again, kind of like they did in Triple Deluxe, because Old Odyssey was, I think, part ice and part lava, if I remember correctly. So, did Return to Dreamland have...
I've still not played Return to Dreamland, so I'm not sure offhand.
It's been so long since I played it myself. You know, they could break with tradition and go with 7. And I would not be surprised by that at all. You know, like, because this is technically a console game. They might want to push it a little bit and have a little bit more worlds there.
Yeah.
So I would be okay with it being a longer game.
How many did 64 have? Was it
64 had 5 worlds. Each one had about like 4 to 5 stages plus a boss.
Yeah, it wasn't a very long game.
No, not really. You can beat that game in like 4 hours. If you're going slow and trying to collect everything, usually Triple Deluxe takes me about like 6. Same with Robobot. They might want to extend the longevity a little bit, I would imagine, but it would be cool to, I think, to have more stages, if only so that they could spell out a longer word pertaining to the final
exactly.
boss. We'll have to see eventually.
Yeah, I'm curious, but based on those level themes, we also had a beach level. So maybe we're working with 8 worlds this time.
We'll have to see. I would be a-okay with, as long as the game doesn't feel like it's dragging. I would be okay with more stages. I
mean, yeah, true. And plus, they probably would need that amount of stages to get all the powers they're due.
Yeah, with 30 powers-ish, you want to have at least one stage that kind of focuses on each one. Yeah, having more stages definitely, I think it's a possibility, but again, this is just pure conjecture.
Oh, yeah, it's complete guesswork.
GameXplain confirms 70 worlds for Kirby Star Allies.
Perfect. I'm satisfied.
Cool.
I think that covers it for our Kirby Star Allies discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And Ted, where can we find you at?
I'm a YouTube person and a Twitch streamer. You can watch me talk with other people about cool stuff on Brain Scratch Comms, and if you want to watch me live stream, I try to live stream several times a week at twitch.tv/xnshadow. So yeah, I'm planning on doing a Kirby marathon soon, where I'm going to play all the main platformers in the series, probably sometime in February. So if you like Kirby, you should check that out, because it's going to be great.
Cool. And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Kirby and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.